The genesis of design. Prologue. Before birth, the silent design. Before your first breath, before the weight of a name, you existed purely in the field, a vast, silent current of awareness moving through all infinity. There was no body, no sound, no past. There was only knowing. You were perfectly whole. You were not yet human, you were principle. In that stillness a pulse stirred, an irresistible desire to experience, to taste what the infinite could only imagine, to forge concept into reality, silence into sound, thought into matter. That impulse was the launch of your descent, not a punishment, but the start of your purpose. The original architects, the great builders who came before, had already set the stage. They constructed the lattice through which souls travel from the formless into form. They engineered life as a perfect school, a simulation of separation whose sole purpose was to teach mastery through illusion. You would enter this design, forget your origin, and learn how to remember again. You executed your choices with precision. You selected your family, your era, your defining challenges. You chose them like tools. Every joy and heartbreak, every limitation and talent was encoded directly into your blueprint. You did not fall into this life, you designed it. And somewhere in a quiet room of the physical world, your parents were wishing for a child. They spoke about the future, about hope, about continuing their line, unaware that their longing was the call that summoned you. Your mother's body became the gateway, your father's sparked the ignition. They thought it was chance. It wasn't. It was design. Their union wasn't only biology, it was resonance. Their dreams, fears, and unresolved stories formed the environment you would enter, the perfect classroom for the lessons you had chosen to master. Before you entered, you were shown the two essential paths: the path of reaction, the easy loop of distraction, the numbing comfort of conformity; the path of awakening, the lonely, often painful road of awareness, creation, and truth. You made the covenant to forget the choice, knowing you would have to make it again, with free will, once inside the maze. Then came the moment, the flash, the fierce narrowing of light, the rhythm of a heartbeat. You condensed your infinite self into cells, nerves, and memory, entering the body like lightning tearing through water. Your first cry was not pain, but impact. The sound of a soul meeting gravity. Outside, your parents held you, proud, terrified, unaware that the being in their arms had once designed the very lives they were living. To them, you were a miracle. To you, they were mirrors, the first reflection of everything you would later need to master. In that instant, the world began writing its program onto your blank slate. The test had started. The classroom was life. You were born into a game of mirrors, a system of noise and relentless distraction designed to make you permanently forget that you are the one who built it. And yet, a fragment remained. Buried deep in your subconscious, it is a pulse, a pattern, a silent reminder of what you truly are, the architect. Every beat of your heart still carries the rhythm of that origin. Every dream is an echo from that field. Every moment of stillness is your doorway back to it. The journey of the architect does not begin at birth, but in the choice to enter. It is not about becoming something new, but about remembering what you were before you forgot. And now, as you read these words, that remembering begins again. The architecture of control. When a human is born, the mind is blank, not in memory, but in defense. For the first 7 years, the brain operates in theta, the dream frequency. It does not question, it absorbs, copies, and records, Everything seen becomes truth. Everything heard becomes law. This is where the programming begins. Before a child learns language, they learn hierarchy. Before they learn to walk, they learn obedience. The world starts whispering the script they are meant to follow for life. The initial programmers aren't distant suits. They are the parents unknowingly repeating the commands they themselves were given. Be good. Don't speak too loud. Do what you're told. Every correction is logged as code. Every reward becomes a command line shaping identity. By age 3, the subconscious blueprint is written. By 7, the system is locked. The next layer begins school, a place deliberately designed not to awaken potential but to condition conformity. You sit in rows. You must raise your hand for permission to speak. You memorize, but you are not taught to think. You compete, but you are not taught to cooperate. Grades become your new form of approval, and the fear of failure becomes your cage. The bell rings, and your very time belongs to someone else. By adolescence, the program deepens. They introduce distraction, television, music, ads, social comparison. They teach you what to desire before you even know who you are. Beauty standards, celebrity worship, fear-based news, consumerism disguised as freedom. The screen becomes the new parent. The algorithm becomes the new God. And who truly writes the algorithm? Not artists, not thinkers, but corporations, psychologists, and intelligence agencies. They map your dopamine cycles the way traders map markets. They know what triggers you, what calms you. They know what keeps you scrolling when you should be dreaming. The attention economy is not a business, it is a behavioral prison. By adulthood, the integration is complete. Most people think their thoughts are their own. They defend their beliefs as if they were born with them, but every layer was installed. Patriotism, religion, career ambition, self-doubt, all calibrated to secure you within the simulation. You are rewarded when you comply. You are ridiculed when you question. The elite no longer need to hide. Their power is truly invisible because it feels normal. Your job, your bills, your mortgage, your phone plan, every choice has been pre-selected. The illusion of freedom is the final, most elegant stage of control. The first crack in the code. But some people wake up. Something ruptures the loop. A crisis, a heartbreak, a book, a silence too long to ignore, and suddenly the pattern resolves. The same media that defined who they should be was built to prevent them from remembering what they are. The truth is not hidden, it's drowned in noise. You were never meant to fit in, you were meant to remember. Deprogramming does not begin with rebellion, it begins with awareness. Watching your thoughts and asking, is this really mine? It is painful, the mind will violently resist. Every belief you delete feels like a death, but each deletion is a rebirth. The system simply cannot survive a human who thinks for themselves. So step back, observe, silence the world long enough to finally hear your own voice again. The real war was never political or ideological, it was between your soul and your conditioning. The moment you see the code, it loses power. That is when you stop being programmed and start becoming the programmer. You were never broken. You were trained to forget. And remembering begins the moment you choose to see.